Thank you.
On the human rights report, the State Department has cut down criticism of some countries that have extensive records of human rights abuse, including in El Salvador, where the State Department said there was no credible reports of significant human rights abuses, cutting an entire paragraph from last year's report that mentioned issues such as arbitrary arrests and harsh and life-threatening prison conditions. What is this change based on? Has El Salvador taken any steps to change these issues, or how did the State Department determine that these abuses were no longer taking place?
Well, I'm not going to speak from country to country. This is something that is available. People can go look. Again, Americans, obviously, the reporters here in this room have had it for a little bit of time and have had a chance to take a look at it, which is important. Again, state.gov, and you can search for a human rights report, and you'll get all the countries, et cetera. First thing I want to mention is that every administration in a transition year has to deal with this particular product, this particular report, for the last calendar year to be released by a new administration. And there's always changes. As you might imagine, if someone is the new president, you got a new administration, the American people made a choice, and they clearly are taking over for the previous administration. Each administration, like with President Trump, reflects a value system and an agenda and a vision that convince the American people to vote for them. And in this case, President Trump always, as ever, I should say, was clear and obvious about the nature of what he wanted to achieve, and the American people agreed with him. This report, as a result, because it was also late, and many of you noted that, it was late because we weren't, just like with other administrations, we weren't going to release something compiled and written by the previous administration. It needed to change based on the point of view and the vision of the Trump administration. And so those changes were made. In addition to the fact that one of the things we're proud of, and what you'll also see next year, is the notion of something being readable by people. Something being a reflection overall of what it is that we're dealing with certain nations. So it does not, the restructuring doesn't reflect a change of any U.S. policy when it comes to human rights. It certainly promotes, as does our work, respect for human rights around the globe. It does not reflect on any particular country. We've stopped ranking countries, by the way. People can make their own decisions about what nations are doing. So that is one thing also that is over. We also, I want to mention the notion of how large the report had become in its condemnation of nations and its the detailed listing of certain things. But what I can say is, and I think it's pretty clear, that you can issue reports, you can make them giant, but it depends on what we do. The Trump administration has proven from day one their commitment to human rights around the globe and to the quality of people's lives. We will have perhaps some, in this case, smaller reports, but I would suggest that you watch the actions that are taken by an administration and that commitment to human rights. In this case, you could have giant reports from the Biden administration as the world began to collapse into war, into conflicts, and it's a reminder. So reports are important. Transparency about our positions are important. That's what these reports will serve. And I can tell you again, for the people who work here at the State Department, these reports do matter. And our actions as a nation also back up the nature of our commitment to human rights.
I understand that this is a narrowed report, but can you explain why this was changed and why an entire paragraph on rights abuses was omitted from this report?
Well, again, I won't go into the details of each country. What I do know is that the approach and the attitude of what we expect, and new complaints are added in. Complaints regarding censorship of people in various countries has been added in that had not been dealt with before. So I'm not going to speak on the decisions that our diplomats have made in looking at the nature of the report of the data that they're receiving, but I can tell you that the nature of the attitude, the reason for the report hasn't changed. It is to make sure people know what's happening around the world, what our posture is toward that, and our actions show our willingness and our commitment to changing the quality of life in people around the world. Yes.